Without question, the most talked about driver in recent years has been the Taylormade Stealth. With its red carbon face, you had guys like Tiger Woods, Rory McIlroy, some of the best players in the world putting it straight in the bag. Well, there's a new one, Stealth 2.0. Apparently, it's faster, straighter, more forgiving. Or is it? Let's find out. Whether you are a Taylormade fan or not, there's no denying the hype and anticipation Taylormade managed to drum up last year for the launch of the Stealth driver was unquestionable. I mean, everybody wanted to find out more. In fact, it was the fastest drive review video I've ever released that got to 1 million views the fastest. You had guys looking at the drive and going, what? It's got a red face and it's carbon? I've got to test it. I've got to hit it surely. I remember going to golf shops last year and everybody wanted to test Stealth. You had guys like Tiger Woods putting it in the bag, Rory McIlroy, and all of the Taylormade athletes were putting it straight in the bag and raving about it. And I'll be honest, throughout the year 2022, I actually took the Taylormade Stealth driver to the driving range quite a bit because I found that when you absolutely crushed it from the middle, like you do a stupid long drive swing, the distance was incredible, like stupid. What I also discovered, however, anything off-centre was so unbelievably punishing. And after speaking to a lot of people throughout last year, a lot of people thought the same. There were some golfers that just literally could not hit the Stealth driver. They just couldn't get on with it at all. So, Stealth driver was very polarising. Well, this year, Taylormade have obviously found out about that. They know that the driver last year wasn't forgiving. Therefore, Stealth 2, which I've got on the desk right now, is their attempt to try and combat that forgiveness issue and to keep the same distance, but to give a little bit more forgiveness. So before I come on to how Taylormade have claimed to make these drivers more forgiving, let's talk about the drivers and the look. So there's 3 in the lineup. There's the Stealth 2, there's a Stealth 2 Plus, which has got a movable track at the front, and there's a Stealth 2 HD, high draw, stopping no slice. I honestly believe this is one of the nicest looking drivers I've ever seen. Personally, you'll know from my logo, I love red, I love black, I love the white and the kind of silver detailing. It is so lovely. There is one thing I'd change is this year, the carbon crown is gloss. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I feel like it shines up too much, but it's only a small thing. You still got the red carbon face, not quite as striking red this year, a little bit more dulled down. And many features you saw on the Stealth, definitely, but with a few extra additions. I also have to note the head cover this year. I mean, it's absolutely mega. I think it's, if there was an award for head cover of the year, Stealth 2 has got it. And the price for these drivers this year, £529. I'll put the dollar price there as well. Now, before we talk about what's new with the Stealth drivers, let's talk about what's carried through. Well, it's 60 layer carbon base. That's going to continue. As mentioned last year, Taylormade have committed to making carbon woods for the foreseeable future, so that's not going anywhere. It's still got twist face to offer more forgiving off-centered hits, and it still has a level of adjustability. The Stealth 2 Plus model has this weight at the front which can slide more from toe to heel to make it more fade or draw biased. And then the HD version, this again something they had similar to last year, but they've enhanced it, put an even bigger weight at the back to make it more forgiving for those slightly higher handicappers. And as always, you can change the loft by 2 degrees up and 2 degrees down, and you can make the driver more upright if you want to hit it a little bit more to the left. And overall, from the looks, it's very obvious it's the Stealth's newer brother. There's not that many things changed, so if you do have a Stealth from last year, this doesn't feel like a massive upgrade. I doubt you'll be going out itching to buy one of these straight away, just from the looks anyway. It's not totally different. So let's mention what is actually different in these drivers to offer that more forgiveness. So new features. Well, first off, a carbon sole, matching the carbon head. This way they can save weight and distribute it more in the head. If you've seen my Callaway review, something similar they've done. A lot of the brands are trying to do that so they can move this weight around to make it more forgiving. And also on this back ring here, which is in red on the Stealth 2 model, this is a carbon reinforced composite ring. Now, Taylormade are claiming, I mean, this material is ridiculously strong. They are claiming that strength in that ring going round reinforces the lighter parts of the driver head to maximize the distance off the face and the forgiveness when you don't strike it exactly in the middle, which is, as I mentioned before, is the biggest issue with Stealth last year. And the other big technology story, the carbon face, as much as it's not changed massively, they've now managed to bring in inverted cone technology in the carbon face, which they managed to do with titanium before, but they've now also managed to do that with carbon. Effectively, it's a face thickening and thinning elements of it. So across the face, the ball speed stays more consistent. Again, going back to that off-centered strike, which is good. I'm so glad that's what Taylormade are focused on this year. Taylormade are often kind of get a bit guilty of going all out for distance, but this didn't need distance this year. It needed more forgiveness. So all in all, for Taylormade, not the most exciting launch this year. It's more of an evolution rather than a revolution. Like last year they had the big differences. This year it's been a bit more of a refinement. And that's fine as long as it works. So the first thing to do was give it a test. I went straight to Torex on GC Quad hitting Pro V1s to collect some data from these drivers. I was also monitoring, even when I was in the simulator, how much to the right or to the left the shots were going, like what was the dispersion pattern starting to look like, because that was my biggest concern with Stealth last year. So let's look at the numbers first. And if you know, from my driver reviews, I like to try and carry the ball about 280 yards with about 2,000 RPM spin with about 160 miles per hour ball speed. So starting off with the Stealth 2 first. And as you can see from the data there, I was averaging carrying this driver 281 yards with around about 2,000 spin and just under 160 ball speed. Pretty much what I'd expect to average carry a modern driver these days. Didn't blow me away, but it certainly wasn't disappointing. Moving into the Stealth 2 Plus, the one with the movable weight front and back, and there's not much differences, bar the back ring on the Stealth 2 Plus has been blacked out. So actually when you set the club up behind the ball, you don't see the red kind of ring going round, it's blacked out, which I don't really have a massive preference. They both look pretty good to me behind the ball, excluding the glossy head. That was actually carrying a little bit further. That driver was carrying at 287 yards, 2,100 spin, ball speed 160 miles per hour. So good, solid numbers for Stealth 2 Plus. However, if you've seen the Callaway driver video I did with the low spin triple diamond, that was absolutely smashing it, even 10 yards further than that. So for me, good, not outstanding, but a good start. HD version, this is the Hydro, it's not again designed for me, it's very toed in. I actually have this head in 10.5 degrees of loft, and when it was in that head, in that loft, it looked like the face was aiming very, very much left. I couldn't hit it right at all. When I cranked it lower down to 9 degrees to get more numbers distance, the face looked a bit more level, a bit straighter, but then it stopped going left. I think for the right golfer, that has definitely got a chance of fixing slices. For me, it was going way too high up in the air, it was spinning way too much, and I couldn't kind of match it up for what I wanted it to do. So the numbers are there. I was carrying that 265 yards. The spin rate was much, much higher at nearly 2,700, 800, and the ball speed just wasn't there for me. But again, I know that's not really for me. That's much more for a slicer. Now, the one thing, as I mentioned before, I was really looking out for dispersion, rights and lefts, shorts and backs from these two drivers, the Stealth 2 and the Stealth 2 Plus. I was a little bit concerned, a little bit worried. I was definitely not hitting it very straight, these drivers. Like, I just feel with, whether it's twist face, I've never massively got on with that, whether it's the fact they're still not really, really forgiving, I found for me, the Stealth 2 driver, the front and back dispersion was a bit off, so I'd hit some much shorter ones and then a few longer ones. Where the Stealth 2 Plus, I felt like the distance stayed fairly consistent, but then rights and lefts were coming in all the time, like big rights and lefts as well. And that's not what I've been seeing with drivers, certainly in the testing I've been doing this year. So it's time to take them out on the golf course and see actually in reality, what does that look like? So I mainly focused this on the Stealth 2 and the Stealth 2 Plus and started hitting some shots. Now, the only way I can best describe it, this is the ball flights, is unpredictable. Like every shot just seemed a bit different. Like whether it was ones that leaped off to the right or they kind of went low left, I felt like it was hard work. Like both drivers, it felt like every time I'd set it up and hit a shot, I didn't know what the outcome would be. Now, I'd like to think I'm a pretty good driver with a golf ball, and a lot of the testing I've been doing recently, certainly a lot of the drivers, I can tell if I'm going to fade it or if I'm going to draw it and do it on some level of demand. I know what my miss is. These Stealth 2 drivers, I just don't know what the outcome's going to be, and I tried. I really did. I hit loads and loads and loads of shots, trying to work out how am I getting on with them? How can I make these work? And I'll be honest, I just couldn't. I hit some long ones on the course, I did. There's no question about that. And similar to last year, these Stealth 2 drivers, when hit out the middle, are so bloody long, it's ridiculous. And on that note, they sound fantastic. Like the strikes off the head sound so good. But if you're trying to find a fairway, oh my goodness, it's hard. Like it's really hard. I would, however, still caveat it, they were slightly less volatile than the Stealth from last year. Slightly less. Like the misses weren't huge rights and lefts. They were just kind of a little bit right, a little bit left, but just never finding fairway. Where I think the Stealth, you would be on a different golf course sometimes. I don't think they've got it right yet. Certainly for golfers who don't hit the middle of the face, which is me, and I'm sure many of you guys watching. I think for the best players in the world, these are fantastic drivers. I think they look great. I think they sound fantastic. But I still don't think they are as forgiving as they need to and could be. Guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. Make sure you like and subscribe. Subscribe to my new review channel, which is going to be coming soon. I'll put the link in the first line of the description. Thanks for watching, guys. Stay tuned, lots more to come. And let's hope, hey, Stealth 3 might be the forgiving model. We'll see you next time.